Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It truly is our light that most frightens us. It has never been our darkness. You see, we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant? Who am I to be gorgeous? Who am I to be talented? I got one for you. Who am I to be fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be these things? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing, and I do mean there's nothing, more enlightened than shrinking to make other people feel more insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God. It's not just in some of us. It's in each and every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we let our own light shine, let me repeat that, as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Good morning, everyone. My name is Creed Lyle, and I'm the Department Administrator for the Advertising Department here at the College for Creative Studies in the A. Alfred Tallman Center for Design, located in the Argonaut Building in Midtown Detroit. Welcome to the second ADX. Actually, while we're welcoming people, John Brock, good morning. Can you give us the video for the Dean, please?
Hello, and welcome to the 2018 CCS Advertising Experience. I'm Vince Carducci, Dean of Undergraduate Studies here at College for Creative Studies. ADX 2018 was developed by our advertising department to introduce students, parents, and faculty about creative careers in the field. But before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about other opportunities available for you here at CCS. Whether it's drawing, painting, ceramics, comics, animation, games, product or vehicle design, CCS has a program to help you use your talent. CCS instructors are among the top practitioners in their field, and they bring practical knowledge to the classroom. We also offer sponsored project classes, internships, and other opportunities to work with industry and gain real-world experience. CCS graduates have gone on to successful careers in shoe design, broadcast advertising, the film industry, and other creative occupations. The majority of CCS students receive some kind of financial aid to help with expenses. So I invite you to visit one of our information sessions to learn more about the college. Private tours are also available, as well as the opportunity to talk to counselors, faculty, and staff about the ways in which CCS might be right for you. So visit www.collegeforcreativestudies.edu to learn more. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the show.
And while we're welcoming people, let's welcome our newest CCS member, Interim Provost, Bill Shields. Bill, will you stand up for a moment? Bill just joined us last week, is that correct? Okay. Many people ask, what is ADX, or what is multicultural, or what is a multicultural event, or what are you doing? And basically, in preparing for this event and preparing for this day, I was looking at some YouTube videos of Oprah, and she mentioned something about intention. Basically, in my department, I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me. And so I wanted more people in my department to look like me. But over the thought of that intention, I thought, no, I want more people of color to have opportunities in fields of art, design, media. And so that's why this event was created, so that you can have exposure to speakers that are going to be here today, to some of the people that are in the audience. There are some people from different ad agencies. For those that are from ad agencies, raise your hands. There's a few in the audience. During the intermission, if you see them out there, just go up to them, say hi, introduce yourself, let them know what you're interested in or what you might want to do. Secondly, this event is really, really important to me because I want to make sure that when you leave here today, you know that somebody reached out and said, hey, you can do this, whatever it is you want to do. That's the main reason why this event was created. The event is going to go like this today. There's going to be four speakers after me from our department, the advertising department, and they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves. There's also going to be another speaker from Campbell Ewald, Ken Walker, and after Ken, there's going to be Karen Dumas. She's going to speak, and then there's going to be an intermission. The intermission is going to be 15 minutes. So trust me, it's like 15 minutes, come back in, and then after that, you're going to hear from Hodge Fleming. After Hodge Fleming, you're going to hear from Robin Terry of Motown. After each person speaks, or each speaking group, there's going to be a 5-minute Q&A. Now, I know that may not be a lot of time, and many of the speakers said that they would offer themselves as far as email or what have you, if you had other questions you wanted to ask them. So don't feel like if you didn't get your question answered, you can't get your question answered because they will answer questions for you. And when you came in, there was artwork out there. The idea for the theme for this year was heroes or superheroes. And when you saw some of the images out there, there were an idea that I came up with, not only for our poster design, but at least for the idea of it. And even the speakers, I feel like are heroes to me because they're more family than just friends. I know many of them, and I appreciate them being here. With that, I'm going to introduce the first set of speakers. And the first set of speakers are going to be Madison Schiller, Lucine Gilbert, Raphael Manigault, and Andrew Furka.
Hi, everyone. So we're all really excited that you're here today to talk to you a little bit about our experiences here at CCS and what exactly it is that we do in advertising. I'm here today with Andrew, Raphael, and Lucine. My name is Madison, and I am one of the art directors here at CCS. And what that means is I come up with ideas, and then I make them come to life. But the thing is that's not what I always knew I wanted to do. High school was a really hard time for me. I was stuck with teachers that didn't understand me in classes that I absolutely hated. So the thought of going to a traditional university outside of high school really kind of made me sick. I couldn't even stomach another math or science class. So I tried to get around going to college altogether, but I was just working meaningless jobs and I really didn't feel fulfilled. So I knew that there was something else I had to do, and that's what led me to looking into going back to college. And lucky for me, I found the College for Creative Studies, a place where I could learn the way that was easiest for me and be around people who think like I do. CCS has really helped me express myself in ways that I never even knew I could. And because of them, they really help get you ready for jobs and life outside of school, which was something that was really important to me, thinking that I'm graduating, I need a job now, and CCS has helped me build the connections, the resume, and the portfolio to do so. Because of them, I had the chance to go work in London, England this summer as an art director, and then right after graduation in May, I accepted a job at Disney where I'm going to go work for a year. And thank you. And although the connections and the jobs are nice, the most important thing is they've really helped me heighten my skill set. And because of that, I have a whole portfolio of work that I can keep adding to throughout my career as an art director, and this is some of that work.
So some fabulous work done by Madison Schiller. I believe I'm the only copywriter on this stage. But I do copywriting for people like Madison, Raphael, and Andrew, who are art directors slash producers. I've been doing writing ever since I was little. I would create these stories in my head, and I would write out these elaborate stories and doodle the characters that came into my head. And then throughout time, I would do everything from lyrical writing to poetry to script writing. And unfortunately, I had this misconception that I wasn't good at writing or creative because my style of writing and creative weren't part of the norm. So towards the end of high school, I kind of steered away towards the fact that I'd be some type of artist because I didn't know what kind of artist I wanted to be. And so that's when I went to a liberal arts college for a year, and while yes, it was fun and it was interesting, I couldn't fully be myself. I couldn't fully express myself as a person, as an artist. And it wasn't until my handy-dandy Google search engine where I was able to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, which was copywriting, and that's my passion. I think I'd be lost without the copywriting department. It gave my life direction at a time where I did feel lost. CCS and the copywriting department really embraces your differences and makes embraces your differences and makes your uniquenesses your strengths. And because of that, I'd like to say that I know exactly what I want to do, which is tell the right stories for people who don't have a voice in societal issues. And so with that, here's my reel.
All right, so you can see that was some amazing work from Lucine as well. So I also like to talk a little bit about my background and how I got started. So I grew up on the west side of Detroit, 6 Mile, and coming up, I was just like a lot of my friends into like cartoons, animes, drawing. I was really creative, and I had a passion for animation. And it was coming out of high school, going to community college, where I began my studies in animation, and it was there where I developed my skills in graphic design as well. And I can say that the time that I spent in community college was an important time for me because that was a time where I was able to find myself and what I wanted to do professionally as a career. And coming out of community college here is where I discovered advertising and seeing all the work that the students was doing and then finding out that you can get your hands in photography, video. I decided that advertising was the place for me. And I made the right decision. This department here has made me grow leaps and bounds as a creative. I was able to work a lot of jobs, 2 internships every summer, working at the Mars Agency, Duffy Petrosky, and Macavision, just to name a few. and getting real world experience, and they also pay really well. So that was really cool. So when I look back, when I first started, I came in just an artist. So now I'm leaving an art director and a problem solver. So that's changed tremendously. So, advertising at the end of the day is art. At the root, it's about ideas that market a product towards a target consumer. And advertising is a place where you can be creative and use your creativity to make your mark and to make a difference in the world. So with that, I'd like to show my reel, the work that I've done here at CCS.
That was some great work, huh? Nice job, Ralph. My name's Andrew. I'm from Dearborn. And growing up, I was always really interested in drawing. I was always like drawing or sketching or doodling, usually taking interest from like anime and things like that. So when it came time to go to high school, I was thinking a lot about my future and what I wanted to do. And thankfully, my school had a really good design program and a really good video program. So I went through both of them, and it kind of steered me towards the direction of doing something creative for a career. And I went to a big art school in Chicago after that. And I thought it would be everything I wanted in an art school, but it really wasn't. It was too big, and I felt lost in the shuffle. So I came home and went to community college for a couple years, and I got a degree in graphic design. And I was looking for jobs after that, but I really wasn't that fulfilled with the ones I was getting. I wanted to do more. And that's where I found CCS, and I found advertising. And it was really cool because it wrapped up all my passions into one. It's a little bit of writing copy, a little bit of making videos, a little bit of designing things if you want to. And you take all those components and you make it into one awesome project. And I came in here as a designer, but leaving, I'm finding myself more as like more of a producer. I like taking all the little pieces and putting them together and seeing the big picture kind of come together. So with that, let's take a quick look at my reel. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Really do appreciate your time and having you here today. Does anybody have any questions or anything about what we talked about? Any curious people out there? Yeah. Should I bring her the mic? Or I don't know how you guys want to do this. Oh, you might. Cool. Sweet. All
If
right,
you
cool.
have a question, you can come up and we will let you ask your question.
It's not like a question, it's like a comment. I really like that you guys like explain like your background to us and just explain like you guys' different circumstances and how you became to be the people you are today. And I like how you guys' like videos, it kind of gave us like a description of how you guys are and stuff. I really liked it, so.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Brandy, she has a.
You come up here. And what's your name?
Tashari. You said you do poems, right?
Poems?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Can you do one?
Right.
Yeah.
Right now on the spot. Not on the spot, but I can send you one.
Anybody over here?
I can do them.
I have a question over here.
What's the GPA needed for this college?
We can answer that. So the minimum GPA for high school students is a 2.5 cumulative GPA. And then for transfer students coming from a community college or another university, it's a 2.0 or higher GPA.
And merit-based scholarships is given based on your GPA, your test score, and your portfolio. We don't have a designated number for the test score. We just ask that the students take SAT or ACT. The higher the test score, the more merit-based scholarship you should get. Yes. And they can go online to fill out the application, she asked, could they go online to fill out the application? The application is online, and it costs you $0.
And there's no essays.
No essay. Your portfolio is your essay. We have rolling admission. She asked when the deadline is. So rolling admission, so we're still accepting applications for the fall of 2018. But for those of you who are rising seniors, juniors, we will open the application after August the 15th for the fall of 2019. We do have some, okay, she's asking. Do we have summer programs? Yes, we do. We do have a pre-college summer experience program. What's the deadline for that one,
The
Brandon?
deadline for the application is June, and for future years, the scholarship deadline for our summer program is March 31st. And the program is 3 weeks in July, so it's this year from July 8th through the 28th. For those of you who want to live on campus or commute, take college-level classes with our CCS professors in various majors and earn credit for the school.
Okay, so another question about the application for the summer program. Everything that we have is online, but we do have a table right underneath the light when you first came in the door with all of the admissions information. Is there a question back there too? Okay, I'm coming. I feel like Phil Donahue. I could do.
Is there a certain amount of time that you have to be in community college to enroll here?
No. We prefer, if you're ready to come from high school, that you come in as an incoming freshman. But for the speakers who spoke, they just weren't sure what they wanted to do. Some of them went into other programs and found that it wasn't really speaking to their passion. So Brandy and I, our admissions counselors, if you're even thinking about CCS, come and talk to us. It can be a very informal conversation where we can look at your portfolio and try and help guide you where you need to be. Any other questions back here?
I think Creed's cutting us off
Okay.
with questions. We need to move on. So we'll have questions shortly after the next speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to mention that this would not have been possible without the help and support of our sponsors. And, going out to get the sponsors, they truly, truly believed in you. They believed in what I was telling them about you. So, in essence, I was the messenger, but you were the message. And they really appreciated doing something like this. John, can you give us a list of some of our sponsors this year? Wait. The way that played out it wasn't how we put it together. And the biggest sponsor on there was MGM Grand Detroit, so I want to give them the biggest shout out. Thank you, MGM Grand Detroit, because their name was on there first. So thank you very much, MGM Grand Detroit. The next person that we're going to bring out is Ken Walker. And actually, Ken Walker is probably my Matt Damon because last year he was supposed to be on the show, and we had to bump him. So throughout the year, I said, if we do this again, I'll make sure that you're the first person, or at least the second person, to speak. So without further ado, Ken Walker of Campbell Ewald.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? Good. Thank you, Creed. I really appreciate it. I want to commend the efforts here at College for Creative Studies and Creed and all the work that you've done. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you. So like Creed was saying, I am a strategic planner at Campbell Ewald. We are an advertising agency located right here in Detroit, also in LA and New York. My role there is strategic planner of diversity and cultural insights. But when I explain who I am, that's my title. Who I am a creative-minded entrepreneur, and I am also a change agent. So that's how I describe myself, but my job there is in strategic planning. Advertising. Advertising. So everyone here, who thinks they know exactly what advertising is, all the functions, how it works, the different jobs? Show of hands. You could be honest if you don't. So exactly, it's an industry that I came upon when I think it was around my junior year of college. I went to Michigan State from 2009 to 2015. Go Green! We got a Spartan here. But it's an industry that was talked about a lot in my last 2 years of college. But then I realized a lot of the skill sets, a lot of my interests definitely aligned with job opportunities. So I was like a lot of you, where I was in high school and I was told to, oh, you're good at math, you should go and be a businessman, or you're really good at biology, you should go be a pediatrician. But I was told a lot of that in my last 2 years of high school. But it was in that last year that I actually went to Michigan State for pre-med to be a doctor. I was going to be a pediatrician. I changed my major after 2 weeks. It just was not going to happen. But I realized that I was trying to pursue job opportunities and career options and paths that aligned with what my parents, a lot of my mentors, and a lot of my teachers were telling me to do. So I had to realize and get centered on what was I interested in, and a lot of that came to advertising. But it is an industry that does lack diversity. I lead a lot of the diversity efforts at the job I work in, but it is an industry that is, I can be very frank, it's terrible. Only less than 4.9% of African Americans make up roles in advertising and PR. It's an industry that's rooted in the arts. We know that's part of our culture, right? You don't have to teach us arts. We love arts. We love to execute things along the arts. We express ourselves through arts and music. But it's an industry that prides itself on the arts, but has the lowest representation of people of color. So today, I wanted to, I've told you a little bit about the company. I want to tell you a little bit about my journey, but then I really want to talk to you guys about some of your skill sets, and that's why I titled this Inspired Creativity. So Campbell Ewald is an advertising firm. We're about 105 years old. I started there in 2014, so it'll be 4 years this June. There I do strategic planning. I lead all diversity and inclusion efforts. I do a lot of outreach with a lot of college students to get them jobs, so helping with recruiting. But also traveling. I travel a lot because we have 3 offices, but also there are like other meetings, career fairs, a lot of different traveling. So it's a really a great opportunity for me to have exposure to different people, different environments, but I do center around being strategic in everything that I execute. So I want to show you guys a short agency reel. This is an advertising agency that is pretty large, so you will see clients from Motor City, the Lions, I Love New York, a lot of different brands that you have seen. So I want to show you just something some of the work that we actually produce as a company. So cool stuff, right? Um, so in my current job, I worked on a few of those things that you saw. So Travelocity, I worked on that account from 2015 to like late last year. So I actually built the whole strategy for Wander Wisely was the tagline that we created. So everybody's familiar with the roaming gnome, right? So we actually changed a lot of his tone as a character for the brand. The last agency, they would have him on Instagram in bikinis and stuff, and it didn't fit the brand, so we made him the wisest traveler there is. So if you watch any commercial, it's very poetic. It inspires you to want to go travel, which is it's about a journey versus just booking the trip. But with that experience, we actually have the life-size gnome, the ones you see in the commercials, actually at our office. So there's actually me on a way to a dinner party with the clients, and I actually had to put them in the front seat with the seatbelt because they have etiquette of how you can actually carry them, right? And then I do a lot of work with strategy. So to the bottom left, we create these consumer experience journey maps where we visualize data about consumers for a brand, and we pinpoint things that the client should do to execute, and then they give us a budget, and then we figure out how we're going to execute it based on their behaviors. The second image to the right at the top is actually me receiving an award for a lot of the diversity initiatives that we've done for our company. To the far right, I actually won an award last November from the 3% conference. It's a global conference all about diversity and inclusion. It started actually years ago from Kat Gordon, who was a lead creative at an agency, and she realized that only 3% of women made up creative roles in advertising. So very male and white dominated is what it is. But she created that platform, and it actually evolved from just being about women in creative roles to now just gender and sexuality, race, background. So it's really just all about, it's a diversity initiative. The middle picture at the bottom is actually me traveling. So I take those pictures probably every time I travel out the windows. And then the bottom right is actually me at the headquarters for Harley Davidson. So a lot of your clients, when you're being immersed on their brand, you may actually go to their headquarters. They may have you try out a new product. A lot of the things that we saw for that brand, they were new bikes that weren't produced yet, and we signed over these legal documents. I couldn't talk about it, so it's really cool stuff. So that's a lot of the work I do in a nutshell. Here are some of the brands that I worked on. But my journey, it really started, as I was saying earlier, when I was in college and not knowing how to utilize a lot of my personal talents and my experiences and those skills that I knew I had in me when I was a child. So I knew I wanted to go into fashion. I knew I wanted to work in music. I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to do all these different things. And I had this huge vision when I was 9 years old. I remember writing it up in this notebook. But when I went to high school, it was an art school, DSA. We have anybody from DSA here? Yeah. So I went to DSA in 2005, and I graduated in 2009. When I went to DSA, it was actually a counselor I had in middle school who told me about different high schools in the Detroit area. So what they did is they interviewed of us, and they asked us, what do you want to do when you grow up? And at the time, I wanted to be a music producer. I actually have a very musical family. My great uncle was in the Motown group, the Four Tops. His name was Levi Stubbs. Thank you. I can't sing though, so I'm not gonna sing for y'all. But that was ingrained in me so early on, but at the time I really wanted to go into music production. I loved beats, I loved listening to lyrics. I was like, how can I do this as a job? How can I be the next Timberland, the next Swiss Beats? I wanted to do those things. And I remember she told me about Detroit School of Arts, where they had a music production program that I could do in high school. Then I went to DSA, and I sucked at producing. I could not make a beat for the life of me. We learned everything from garage band, piano, but it wasn't something I was good at. It was something I liked. But I remember fashion, business, wanting to communicate consumer behavior and looking at research. Those were skill sets that I loved to do. It was something I was good at, but I loved to do those things, and I didn't have a lot of creative outlets. A lot of my friends and my colleagues at the time, they had talents like singing, where they were in vocal classes. Some of them were singing at their church, and some of them were photographers. They would have their ability to learn how to do that, but I didn't have an outlet for a lot of those skills that I knew I had. So when I went to college and thought I was going to be a doctor, and that didn't work out, it started when I changed my major to advertising, and I just fell in love with understanding how to use consumer research to drive strategies and create campaigns and commercials and all these amazing things that you see every day. So I got an internship at this very small agency. I graduated in 2014. I started at Campbell Ewald as an intern. Another key word that I want to bring up, intern, you're going to intern probably all your life until you get that first job. I was told to always get a paid internship, so I made sure that that was my focus. So I treated it better. When you're doing something for free and you're learning about it, I think you don't take it as serious, especially when you're young. But a lot of what I heard in college was, after you graduate, you're probably still gonna have to do an internship. I'm like, no, I have a degree now. Like, they're gonna give me a job. And I actually started at Campbell Ewald as an intern on Cadillac, on that account. And we built this global strategy for the brand, and it was in 3 months in that internship that they gave me a job. So intern as much as you can, even if you find opportunities while you're in high school, when you get to college, after you graduate from college, still intern, because you never know who you may have an ability to connect with doing that program and actually get you a job. So that's kind of like the route I took to get into the agency. We lost our first account, Cadillac, when I was about 9 months into that role. I came back and actually helped them retain business. So I helped them with pitches for Travelocity, to Harley Davidson's, a lot of those brands that you saw in that video. And then diversity and inclusion, it kind of just came on my lap 2 years ago, where there was issues with a racial incident that actually happened at our agency, where they were kind of just in a PR crisis of how do we alleviate these issues where people think that our agency is racist because of the wrongdoing of one employee. And that's when Black Lives Matter, it was a big topic 2 years ago, and those are things that I talk about to my Black counterparts, my friends, my family, but when I come to a predominantly white space where I don't see myself reflected, I'm code switching, I'm fitting in the mode. I'm not talking about things that really impact me and people that look like me. But I was empowered when I talked to my boss about it, and she was like, well, let's do something in an office about it, because I know it's something, it's topical, it's something that I know they're seeing on the news, but why are we not talking about it at the job? So that's kind of how it happened. And so I created initiatives like that, where we brought in thought leaders and speakers in. Chioke McRae, who's actually here, there he is back there. He was one of our speakers, but he does a lot of great initiatives for a lot of our youth of color. So those are things I did that evolved me, and they actually made it a part of my role, and it just got really busy. So then, in my last year, this past year, after talking to Creed, we were talking about this presentation last year up until now, and I got focused on a lot of those skills that I told you about earlier: fashion, music, all those things that I love. And I was trying to apply that to my job in advertising. So knowing that those are my interests, did I say anything about my job that really focuses on those skills? Not at all, right? But the ability to do research, the ability to be creative, and using the culture of music and fashion, all these different things. And some extent, I get to do that at my job, but there still are those limitations. But I want to talk to you guys about discovering skills. This happens very early on in our lives. As kids, we know what we're good at. We know what we have a talent of. We know what things we would love to do one day and make money to do it. If you can sing, you're like, I'm gonna be the next Beyonce. So you're, got the hairbrush, you're in the mirror, you're singing like her, and you find opportunities to give you a stage to perform on. And then you hope to get a record deal, right? And then you become successful, you have experiences, you get the Grammys, and that's the story, right? But we know that road is not straight at all. There are things that are in your way. There are people that are going to tell you not to do it, but especially when it comes to the arts. The arts is something that is always deemed, you're not going to make money doing that. So get a business degree and then do that on the side. So that was a lot of what a lot of my peers experienced after they graduated from DSA. One is a songwriter she co-wrote a song for Nicki Minaj in LA just when she moved out there. One is working at CBS on a production crew for The Talk because she was into photography and video. So I have a lot of friends that are glowing up, doing some great things with their skills. So talking about skills, I want to focus on three people that utilize their skills. They knew them early on in their lives, but I want to see if you guys know who these people are. So our first one, anybody know who that is? LeBron. So LeBron, star athlete, one of the best players in the world. He knew early on, I'm good at basketball, and his career did not start in the NBA. It started at that age, very young. And he utilized a lot of discipline and a lot of those opportunities that he had in high school to evolve to become who he is today. So who's this person? See if y'all know this one though. Oh, Obama? No, that ain't Obama. Anybody know who it is? Spike Lee. So Spike Lee, another incredible person. He started very young, around 20 years old when he created his first amateur films. He is a renowned producer, director, screenwriter. He focuses a lot of his films around racial injustice. Everybody's seen Do the Right Thing, Crooklyn, one of my favorite movies. But it started very early for him. And then I have one more. Who's this? Who? John Legend. John Legend is a Grammy award-winning singer, songwriter, pianist. Another individual who knew very early on that he had a skill for singing. He would sing in church, went to college, and then became who he was in 2005. A lot of them have these experiences where success for them, you saw it when Spike Lee had his first film. You saw LeBron when he won the championship with Miami. It wasn't at Cleveland first. But you saw the success. You don't know the process, the amount of drive that they have to keep pushing for something that they're good at. So this is a short clip that John Legend actually did where he talks about this very same thing of really realizing that success is not something to look at from the facade. Look at the process that goes along with that.
The thing is, every successful person has failed at what they love to do before. I've been unsuccessful in my career. You just didn't know about it because I wasn't famous yet, and I was trying to be famous. I was trying to get a record deal for 6 years, and I kept getting turned down. And any successful person even though it seems like everything just happened for them, it usually was preceded by a bunch of failure, or at least a significant amount. But the great ones aren't the ones that don't fail. They're the ones that learn from their failure, and they keep going, and they're persistent, and they're tenacious. And for me, I was trying to get a record deal from 98 to 2004, and I got turned down by every major record label, including the one I'm signed to now. And for me, that means that even when you hear no, you have to keep going through all those no's until you get to yes. And with learning something new, I think it's the same principle. When I was younger, I didn't really know that you could just get better at things, because I think we're so used to the idea that you're talented at something and it's sort of fixed, the idea that, oh, he's just a good singer, and even with singing, I've gotten better at singing as I've gotten older. I wasn't singing in a way that was sustainable, and I wasn't breathing right, I wasn't doing a bunch of things correctly. I realized that there was a ceiling that I couldn't crack through unless I actually studied and worked under a coach to get better. And this idea that things are just fixed is proven not to be the case. You can get better at things, you can grow, And even people that are innately talented still need to go beyond that basic talent that they have and cultivate it.
All right, so wise words, right? So a lot of those examples, those three people I showed you, they all knew very early on. John Legend knew when he was singing in church that I'm going to be a singer one day. He learned piano. LeBron James, he was a kid when he had his first basketball. I knew he was going to be a star one day. Spike Lee, same, he knew very early on, but utilized experiences that he had in his early 20s to actually start to execute a lot of those different things that he wanted to do. But the opportunities, those are really how they evolved to who they are. John Legend had the opportunity to write. He wrote a lot of songs before he was John Legend. His name is John Stevens. He became John Legend after meeting Kanye West. But this is an image of Kanye West in 2003, before College Dropout came out. That's John Legend in the back corner in the left, on piano, doing vocals in the back of songs that a lot of us probably know and love. But that was his opportunity, and we know that he signed to Kanye's Good Music label, and he is who he is now. LeBron James became a star high school player. He utilized that opportunity, signing up for that team, and became a star player before he was in the NBA. Spike Lee was shooting those short films in his 20s, and finding ways to connect with the big film companies, but no one wanted to buy his scripts because they were just too hard for people to watch. All about racial injustice. Do the Right Thing it took him a long time to get that one produced, so he ended up just shooting it himself. Making the film, getting a team, shot it right there in Bed-Stuy, and really became who he was because he took a risk on himself. And then lastly, the experiences. This is where the success came. Those experiences, getting a first album put out in 2005, Get Lifted, the song, I won't sing it, Ordinary People, it's my grandmother's favorite song. That became a hit song for John Legend. Won him Grammys. LeBron James has won trophies, from his skills. And then lastly, Spike Lee, he's won Oscars, Gilded Awards, Golden Globes for a lot of those different things. But it was discovering their skills very early on, having opportunities to utilize those gifts, and then getting experiences that could give them everlasting success. So I leave with this quote, you are the author of your destiny. And I say it especially when you're going into an industry based on the arts. You have people that are going to tell you, here are other opportunities. My mom told me I should have been an engineer. We were in Detroit, it's a big three. I was like, I don't want to be an engineer. I don't like science and math that much. It didn't align with what I wanted to do. But when I took control, I said, no, I'm going to go to Michigan State. Because at the time I was being rebellious, I was gonna be a doctor, but even when I did that and I changed my major, she tried to say, oh, I told you so thing. I was like, no, I'm gonna do something else in advertising, which was still another industry that my family wasn't aware of. Still to this day, if I tell my grandmother I'm a strategic planner, she don't know what the hell that is. But that is because we don't have a lot of awareness about this industry, and we need more people of color who have skills that are embedded in them. There's a God-given talents that no one needs to teach you: how to draw, how to color, how to have a good eye when you're doing photography. Those are gifts, but we are the authors of our destiny. We control what our destiny is. What I mean? And that's a letter of a number of different experiences that we're going to take to actually execute a lot of those. So this is what I did. The last year, I made the decision. I was really going back and forth with all these different things that I wanted to do, and I went and I found this old notebook that I wrote in when I was 9, and I was like, I'm going to have a clothing brand. I'm going to have my own record label. I'm going to do a lot of community outreach. I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to be a philanthropist, but I'm going to start with fashion. And I wrote in the notebook, it was K Walker Apparel. And in college, in my last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this brand, one day, I don't know when. In 2012, 2 years before I graduated, I took a study abroad trip to Italy. And it was with a lot of my college professors and 12 of us students. And it just came out of nowhere. I said, I have to go into fashion. I have to find some way to go into fashion. And when I started to work in the advertising industry, I was like, I'm going to do it eventually. But then it was definitely something that takes a lot of investment, a lot of time. So now, you guys are the first to know I'm actually launching my clothing brand next month. Thank you. And this is based on utilizing those skills, utilizing those gifts that I know I had to go into fashion. I'm utilizing everything I learned in advertising. I know everything about my consumer. I know how to market them. I know how to use Instagram. All these different things I learned in the last 4 years at Campbell Ewald. So that's an exciting project that I'm working on now. Been tirelessly busy working on it, visualizing it, putting things on my wall, and really finally taking a leap of faith and taking control of my destiny, because I know I am the author as well. So thank you all. That's it.
We just want to see if anybody has any quick questions we can get the lights, house lights. I see a couple.
Any questions for Ken?
There's a question here. I'm going to be Wendy Williams. I'm going to hold it.
So recently, I was given an opportunity I was offered an internship with Ford. So I wanted to know if you had any advice, because I've never really gone and been in like a company surrounding before. Oh, I go to King.
Okay. Is it for like engineering at Ford? Or is it?
I'm not sure. I just was offered it. I showed,
oh, you got an offer? Wow.
Yeah, I showed a guy my art one day. He said, I might have a place for you at Ford, so he gave me.
Yeah, I would say you have an advocate for you, which is important. I was going to get to that point. In any type of entry-level role, find your advocate. Especially as an intern, you're going to get experiences, but at the end, you eventually want a job. Never take an internship just to take it. Take it because you want the job. And if you're not going to get the job, at least you got the experience. That's on your resume. You got those experiences. So I would ask them you should get a job description, and then have a one-on-one with that advocate about what are things that I could do to be great at this. Here are my gifts. Here's what I offer. But here are some things that I would love to do if I have the opportunity to do it. Because when you come in, and I think the stigma that people have heard about interns, like, oh, that's the person that gets the coffee. You're like, no, interns are people who soak in all the opportunity. They ask questions to everybody that works there, and they find where they fit. So I would just get a brief job description and then use that to your benefit to really communicate a lot of things that you want to do.
Thank you.
How much risk-taking is involved in finding success?
A lot. Risk-taking, I would say, okay, when we define risk, success is something where you have to, like I was saying earlier, the discovery phase of knowing what you're good at. I thought I was good at music producing because I liked music producing. When I got the opportunity to go to an art school like DSA, where I got to fiddle around with GarageBand, I was terrible at it. But my interest was good in it, but I had to really understand what am I good at, and usually that comes from opportunities, and you usually discover what it was. So that's where I'll say risk-taking is when you have an option. Like, am I going to go be a doctor, or am I going to really go to CCS because I have a creative skill that I would like to utilize? That's what I call a risk, is really taking a chance and taking those leaps on what you believe in.
Okay, and we have one more question here.
How you doing? My name is Mr. Duncan. I'm a teacher at DSA. I want to know if you could speak to, considering that Facebook is in the news as of late,
yeah,
how you as a strategic developer
yeah.
would utilize Facebook to, I guess, figure out like a core audience and to use that for advertising.
Yeah, so Facebook, everybody knows they had this big debacle now of how they utilize all of our data. I'm gonna just tell y'all, anything you put online is staying there forever. I don't care if you delete it, Snapchat, all that stuff is recorded. But Facebook, they've grown based on consumer data. If you watch, you can even Google this, where they asked Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, how do you guys make money? They have advertisers. They have people like our company who have brands. We place ads on there. That's how they make their revenue. That's why you see ads when you're on a site. That's why when you're on Instagram, you see those sponsored posts. But they utilize our data a lot. So for marketing strategy, when I do strategic planning, it's based on consumer insights. So I look at who's our demographic, how old are they, where do they work, how much money do they make, what are their media consumptions, what are their interests, it's a lot of things, but it's all based on data that they collected from your behaviors. And it's called an MRI report that our media team can print out for me, and I visualize that data into a journey map, and then my client will say, we know that people who are looking to buy a car, someone who's 21, has no knowledge about how to go research a car, they're going on Carfax.com, all these different websites to figure out the used car that they want, and then we say, well, what are other things that consumer is doing in the discovery phase? And a lot of it is research. They're looking online, but also when they get the car at the next stage, what are they doing? They post it on social media. So we should have ads on Snapchat. We should have them on Facebook. We should have them on Instagram, because we know that social media is a driver. It's a communication mechanism that they're using. So a lot of behaviors, they come from the data like a Facebook collects. So be very cautious of what you post. I say utilize the location features very sparingly. Like you'll find people who track where they are at every minute. Post it after you've left the place. There are a lot of crazy people out there that will track you. But yeah, Facebook is a huge one. They own Instagram too. People don't know that. They bought Instagram for $1 billion like 5 years ago. So they own everything. So be careful. Right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ken.
And everyone can follow me on Instagram at the Ken Walker 2 N's. All right, that's it.
The next speaker I want to bring up is a good friend of mine, and she was Kerry Washington before Kerry Washington was Olivia Pope. She is the real deal. If you don't want to hear the truth, don't go to her, because she is going to tell you the truth. You can see her on Fox 2's Let It Rip in many instances, and she's speaking her truth. We go way back, so I really appreciate that she's speaking today. I definitely want a lot of the young ladies in the room to see themselves through her, because she's an accomplished person and has done a lot in her career and in the city of Detroit. Without further ado, Karen Dumas, can you please come up? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to tell you, just as Creed indicated, we have gone back. Creed actually used to be on my staff in one of my tenures in the mayor's office here in the city of Detroit. So Creed, thank you very much. I'm very proud of what you're doing and who you've become. Now I have to follow your direction. I want to give you a little thumbnail about who I am and what I've done, and then I want to give you my top 5. Not my top 5 athletes or my top 5 rappers, although we can talk about that too, but top 5 things that I think that you will need regardless of what you will go into, because you have to be committed and have a consciousness that you bring to the table regardless of what you decide. I am a native Detroiter. I grew up on the east side. Thank you. I just want to see if we have East Siders here. I went to East Catholic High School, graduated from Michigan State University, and like Ken, I too wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to go into forensic pathology, totally intrigued by the cause of death and why. But after about 1.5 years, I said, okay, this is taking too long, and I switched my major. I had always enjoyed writing, and I always enjoyed talking. I used to get in trouble for talking, and I actually conceptualized my idea for my company when I was still in college. So after college, I started working for an agency. They were paying me a week what they were billing clients an hour. Shortly thereafter, I was appointed Director of Public Information for the City of Highland Park. But I and another person on staff, only 2 on this particular staff that had college degrees, we were let go, unappointed, fired, if you will, if you want to say it nicely. I was 24, making $45,000 a year. I said, oh, real life is not that bad, until I lost my job. So I started interviewing for other jobs, and they were offering me $30,000 if I brought in $30,000 in business. And I said, well, if I can bring in 30,000 for business for them, maybe I can bring in 30,000 for me. And so I started my own business. I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured it out. In between that time, I had 2 tenures in the city of Detroit. I did work in the Kilpatrick administration and left in 2005 before things started to fall apart. And most recently as chief of communications for Dave Bing in the city of Detroit. That was also a position that I resigned early because I had an employee that sued me, the city, and the mayor because she said I was mean. But having been in business for myself, I had an entrepreneurial approach to getting things done, not a check collector's mentality. I expect you to work. I don't expect you to show up and punch a clock and look until it's time to go home. I expect performance, and that's part of what I want you to bring to whatever it is that you want to do. So I'm going to give you my top 5. 1, define success for yourself. Understand what it is that you want to do and what you bring to the table, but decide what success looks like for you. A lot of times people think that having a lot of money is what success is, but you have a lot of people that wake up on luxury sheets in huge homes. They put on custom suits. They drive expensive cars to big offices that have checks with a lot of zeros, and they're miserable because they're doing something that they don't want to do. You have people here in the city that are on television every day that want to be musicians. You have lawyers that want to be teachers. At your age and where you are, you have the opportunity to define your passion and your purpose and to pursue both of those. The next thing I want to encourage you to do is to find something that inspires you, whether that's a person, whether that's something that's written, whether it's a Bible quote. For me, it's music. If there's one thing, if I can listen to my Future Essentials on Tidal on my way in, or if I can hear Rich Homie Quan walk through before I go to an event, I'm good. So find something that inspires you. Find something that will keep you going every day, even if it's you. Write yourself a note. Have a conversation with yourself in the mirror. Because for everything that you want to do, you've got a whole world and community that's telling you that you can't do it. So you need something or someone, again, even if it's you, to remind you just how good you are and how great you can be. You have everything that you need to be everything that you want to do, and you just have to remember that. Third, create a network. Create a network. Just like Creed and I have known each other for a long time, Haj Flemings that you'll hear from, he's going to tell you how to build and protect your brand. Haj was, he authored a book early on. He was in Royal Oak. I didn't know him. I didn't know what he stood for, but he was selling the book, and to support him, I bought the book. And now Haj and I can pick up the phone, and we are part of each other's network. But establish relationships, maintain those relationships so that you can build a network that not only benefits you and the people that you know and the people that look and live like you, but the people who come after you. Next, commit to the process and not just the protest. Now, you've heard about Ken, Ken talked about the strategic planning and advertising. Well, when advertising campaigns go bad, like they did with Pepsi and Kylie Jenner, or when brands take a turn for the worse, like they did with Starbucks recently, then I'm the person that they call. Or people like me, people that do that. So you want to make sure that you have involved yourself in the process and that you're around the table. So you're all thinking about maybe advertising, communications, or some component of that. You, by nature, are creative. People want to do what you do. They want to look like you look. They want to dress like you do. But you have to be around the table. You have to be able to participate in that process so things don't go wrong. How do you do that? Find the opportunity for you to make a contribution for who you are, how to maximize your influence, and how to formalize the creative process that is you every day. So I have to write this down because otherwise I'd talk to you all day, so we can make sure we think about it. Make sure that you are always yourself. Now think about, let me put this in the terms of music because I like music. Unlike Ken wanted to be a producer. My secret goal is to one day do a mixtape. So when you see it come out, make sure you support it. But make sure that you are yourself. Let's take Drake and let's take YG. Drake can't rap about the experiences of YG. He can't do that, and it would not work for him. And YG can't rap or communicate about calling a girl back or being upset. Be yourself. It just wouldn't kind of really work. So make sure that, you know, I heard somebody say, you know, you want to be the next. You want to be the next. You don't want to be the next anything. You want to be the first you. You are created to be who you are for a reason. So don't strive to be the next of anything. Work to be yourself. Excellence is undeniable. How many of you saw Coachella stream, or if you went to see the Coachella stream? Beyonce practiced 11 hours a day for almost a month before that. That performance, she didn't just wake up and she didn't just do it. But think about the messages that Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kendrick are now introducing, a level of consciousness, a level of commitment, because excellence is undeniable. Nobody's going to tell them that they can't say this. Nobody's going to tell them that they can't do this. They have elevated themselves. They have created an interest and a demand for who they are and what they say. And so now they can change the conversation to make a difference, to make things better for you and everybody else. So excellence is undeniable. How do you get around that table? Commit to being the best that you can be all of the time. Don't be a corner cutter. Don't be a person that's trying to get around and just do just enough to get by. Understand that what you do, what you say, and how you do it is a representation of you, the people who look like you, and the people who live like you. So make sure that you're always giving it your best. Don't get there and forget why you're there. Does anybody understand what I mean by that? Don't get there, don't arrive and close the door behind you. I mean, too often, you know, we have people around the table and they are too, I guess, afraid to speak up and speak out. You're there for a reason. You're there because you bring a unique set of experiences and perspectives. You're there to make a difference. Now, I know everybody remembers the Quicken Loan, you know, see Detroit as this, and there was not a face in sight that represented any degree of color. Well, they had a second ad, and I don't know if anybody paid attention to it or saw too much of it. Same thing. It was for the shopping experience that they had downtown. And so they said, well, wait a minute. This was the same mistake you just made a few months ago. Didn't you learn from the first mistake? And they said, oh, no. We had an agency around the table. This was a black agency. But having that agency around the table, if the agency is going to be either too afraid of losing the dollars or being apprehensive and not speaking up to make a difference, is a disservice not only to the agency, but it's a disservice to the client, because now you're still putting the client in the same position where they appear that they have no awareness of or sensitivity to diversity. So once you're there, make sure you're there for a reason. Make sure you bring your experiences, your perspectives, your commitment, and your consciousness to that table. Also, when you're there, once you arrive, don't close the door behind you. You are creating a path so someone behind you can also benefit. A lot of times you hear people say, oh, well, I made it, they can too. Well, you didn't make it by yourself, even if you think you did. And it's up to you, it's your responsibility to reach back and bring somebody else into the fold. Finally, the two things that I think are the most important words in any effort that you do are keep going. Life is hard. It's hard, but it's manageable and it can be fun. But for every good thing that happens, you're going to have to navigate some challenges. You're going to have to navigate some people. You're going to have to navigate some circumstances and some pushback. I know when I first decided I wanted to go into PR, there was a person that also went to Michigan State that was an engineer with GM, and he says, hey, I know this lady, and she has her own PR firm. Let's go to dinner. This lady was mean to me. I mean, she was just, this is an older lady, and she was just nasty. And she says, oh, well, you need to polish your mannerisms a little bit. And she says, maybe in 3 or 5 years, you can come and work for me. So by this time, yeah, that's what I said. So by this time, I'm like, okay, there's nothing I'm getting from this lady. And I said, ma'am, in 3 to 5 years, I'll be your competition. And sure enough, I was. And she and I both went up for the same contract. It was for the Kobo contract, and she lost. 3 years later, she was out of business. But I made a commitment to never, ever, ever be that way to anybody else. You will never go broke investing in yourself, and you will never go broke or fail by helping someone else to succeed. Keep that in mind. You have an obligation to those who look like you, who live like you, and who love like you. There's nothing wrong with who you are. Stand tall, make a difference. Remember, the media is our master. the ads that you see, the words that you hear, the music that we listen to. Don't complain about it. If there's something that you want to change, be a part of the process and not just the protests. Thank you.
Can we get the house lights on? And are there any questions for Ms. Dumas? Okay, on. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so my question is, okay, so as far as you starting your own business and realizing what you wanted to do with what you did, and you explained a lot of jobs that you went through, how did you basically find your way to where you are now and determine what business you wanted to create and what it is that you actually wanted to do?
Well, like I said, I conceptualized my company when I was in college because I was thinking, do people realize that how their business, how the phone is answered, how their logo looks, do they realize the importance and the impact of perception on their bottom line? So I conceptualized that. I'd always loved to write. Don't tell anybody, but I used to write and sell papers in college. You always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I used to write love letters for people in grade school because I've always been able to communicate. I've always been, sensitive to and aware of how other people feel. And so I realized that that was a talent. And like Ken, I had an interest, but I had to tap into what are my strengths. My strengths were my communication skills. Everything that I've done print, I've written columns, I was a regular columnist, I've done print, radio, television. Everything is centered on that communications core, which is also important for regardless of what you want to do. You have to be able to read, write, and speak well. If you don't speak well, I'm not listening after about 2 minutes, and most people aren't. But I tapped into those things that I was good at and started to shape and develop those. The 2 positions, I started to realize just what my skill set could do for me. There was an anchor here in the city that hired me to write a speech for her for a 3rd grade class. So don't trivial, and I'm thinking you can't speak to a 3rd grade class, but that's okay because I could bill her for it. So I started to realize I did. Don't ever be afraid to get your money. Don't. But those are skills that will take you into anything. There was a young lady that graduated from the University of Michigan, and she had an engineering degree, and she had to take the GMAT. She wanted to go to grad school, but she could not get past the written portion of the test. So she could do math, and she could do some things that I couldn't do from an engineering perspective, but you have to be able to effectively communicate and present yourself, your skill set, who you are. I do a class for Goodwill Industries for their returning citizens, young women that may have either been incarcerated or made the wrong decision that are now trying to get back on the right track. And out of all of their challenges, their biggest thing is their lack of self-esteem because they've been pushed down so much. And I have to tell them, especially young ladies, when you walk into a room like you own it. Walk into a room like you're supposed to be there. I don't mean in an arrogant or a condescending manner, but with a degree of confidence because that's what people are attracted to. That's what will make a difference. It's not just about what you have on and that kind of thing. Walk in with a sense of confidence and comfort with who you are and what you're coming to the table with. So to answer your question, I just figured out what those things were that I was good at. I realized how to maximize and monetize it. And it's taken me through a business that is older than most of you in the room.
We have time for one more question.
Okay.
Oh, I see one right here.
My name is Donovan. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Once you pave your way for a business, what are some tips for using a platform, like such a platform?
What platform?
Like once you get once you get your pave your way for a business, like what you want to accomplish, and you know, right? What are some tips for a platform, like for anything,
I'm sorry, I guess I don't understand your question.
Like,
break it down for me. Make it simple.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Like,
Just tell me what you want to know. I'm sorry. I don't know. When you say a platform, you mean a
let's say
platform
you
for making a
doing
difference?
music, like you.
Okay.
like you have a record label and stuff
Okay.
like that. What are some tips, for anything? Like, do you have any tips on how you should use your platform?
I got you. How to use your platform. Now I got it. Yeah, you should always use, thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm a little slow. Just be patient with me. But you should always use your platform for good. That's the first thing. But I think more importantly is that you want to bring a skill set to whatever you do that will make a difference. Part of that, a lot of people have a talent, but they suck at business acumen. They have no idea about how to say thank you. They have no idea about how to follow up. They have no idea what a level of excellence is. They have no idea about time management, organizational skills, being on time. I had a meeting yesterday. I showed up I'm always 15 minutes early. And the person said, "Oh, you're early." I said, "No, I'm on time." So those kinds of things, one, make a difference for you as a business person. Two, maximizing that platform, not just for whatever it is that you're in business to do, but for creating opportunities for others. That's another thing, regardless of what you do. Just like those who are here today that are sharing their stories, use your platform to make a difference. Get to a point where you can move from success to substance. You think about Drake's video and God's plan. He's given away $1 million. Drake's at a different place in his career now. I mentioned Beyonce and Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar. They're using their platform to drive and deliver their passion. And just always be excellent at what you do. Okay? No, thank you. And I'm sorry for the delay, but thank you. Thank you all very much. Best wishes for continued success. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Right now.
The ideas, the tagline, the body copy, a copywriter wrote, just do it.
You take the big idea, you get a single line for it, you write it down, and then that's what it is.
I think I need to be creative because it lets me escape.
Like, that's my best outlet for my energy that I have, and it's the most fun I get to have, as a person.
When you write something really great, it feels really satisfying. You feel really relieved because you just worked for hours on something, probably rewriting pretty much the same thing over and over again, but finally something just clicks and you know it's the right thing. I love writing headlines because you're able to write them so fast. It doesn't always matter if they're good, you can go back and shorten them or fix them.
I like doing scripting, like writing scripts more than I like writing headlines and body copy. I think it's just, there's more of a benefit. You can see it play out on film, and you can hear it on radio. You get more emotion to it.
I would say the biggest skill that I've learned at CCS that will help me in agency life is working with others and knowing how to work in groups.
You get to work with partners, you find out who you work well with so you can produce the best work, and you get to form friendships out of those partnerships, which also happens in the real world. So the more you work with people and collaborate and have that personal relationship where you can definitely rely on each other to come up with a good idea.
CCS has provided a lot of basis for what you need in an advertising agency.
I think it does set us up pretty nicely for the future.
It's helped me to push myself as hard as I can, and it's just made me better.
My dream is to work for Deutsch because their clients are Taco Bell and Target. That's my favorite fast food restaurant, and every girl loves Target.
I would like to get into an agency and get to do work that I love.
I want to be a writer that leaves an impact, whether it's making someone laugh or making someone cry or just having someone stop and actually think about something for a minute.
The one thing I love about CCS is meeting all of these different creatives.
I love that at CCS you can be yourself.
It's like kind of a safe haven to do whatever you want.
Being surrounded by a community of great designers.
I've got friendships I'll have for a lifetime.
There's many things. If you make it at CCS, you should pretty much make it anywhere.
Motown, the Motor City. Detroit's had its time on top, and now, with hard work and people who believed and never gave up, our time has come again. Because right now, in Detroit, it's revival time. Innovation time. Dinner time. Game time. Showtime. Move-in time. And now's the time to experience all the things you've heard about Detroit for yourself. It's time to see it, taste it, hear it, feel it, witness it, and believe it. This is Detroit, and we're here to tell you it's go time.
Well, this is the third year of our, we call it Pop-Up Portfolio Day in Chicago. Recruiters in Chicago couldn't come to Detroit all the time, and so we thought, let's take the show on the road. We bring all of our seniors with us, we bring some top juniors, and it's evolved from just a portfolio day to something even more special.
Attention, everyone. We're going to begin in another 5 minutes. Again, we're going to begin in 5 minutes. Thank you.
And so last night we had our third reunion, and which is really becoming quite fun because we probably got over 24 of advertising alumni working in Chicago and doing some really stellar work. And they get to mingle and practice networking.
It was definitely like a mentoring type of thing, being able to catch up with people who graduated before me, seeing where they are now. Just tips and tidbits on things I can, try to work out into my journey.
So meeting the alums, it kind of makes you feel at ease that yes, there is more out there, and just seeing that, there is a huge network of alumni from the advertising program out across the country. It was good to get feedback from them and their insights of how their career path went, how they kind of got to where they are, and what they did.
Today was portfolio reviews, and so our students were meeting with agency recruiters and creative directors from top agencies in Chicago, and it's 3 hour, 4 hour, show the work, talk about the work, and sell yourself to Chicago.
So today was kind of me trying to get some feedback, practice, and maybe possibly a job or a foot in the door, whether it's here in Chicago or at another agency office.
Just for a couple hours, we were able to showcase our work and talk about the things that we're able to do, show them who we are as students, show them who we are as a school, show them who we are as artists and designers. And it's like, this is who I am, this is my work, I am awesome, you want to hire me.
So we asked for feedback from the recruiters today and the creative directors and even our alumni that come today, and we've been very positive and very happy with the feedback. The thing that's really coming out to the forefront is not just the execution of the work or the ideas, but the thinking behind the ideas.
I met with 5 or so people, and they all had great potential. They were all very passionate about their work. They seemed to have all of their ideas thought out, especially with digital. They showed me like the process of how they got there and how their ideas could live on.
And then tomorrow we're doing 3 agency tours, so the students get a chance to see, what the environment is that they could work in. And it's, again, wonderful face time for our students. And so then we're done, back home, back to work.
I mean, my connection with CCS is it's really strong. I love CCS. They gave me everything that I needed to actually do something with my life. I found something that I was good at and that I loved, and they helped me every step of the way to get here. Mark Zapico, he's awesome. The day that I graduated, he gave me an internship here in Chicago, and my life changed ever since that day.
Our hope, our goal was that each one of those students today finds the right fit, the right agency that really catapults them on to a trajectory of success that in a couple years from now, we'll be seeing their work everywhere. Whether it's Super Bowl or on your smartphone, that's where you'll see them.
Before I bring up the next speaker, Hodge Flemings, he's going to speak to us about branding Detroit, making it a better place. Before he comes on stage, I actually want you to see a short film by Stephen McGee, and Jessica Care Moore did the voiceover. John, can you play that short film for me?
When you've been a leader your entire life, you learn how to turn one day into day one. To do it first, to be an innovator, means you may stumble, you may fall, but relentless, you will move forward. Detroiters are born moving. Our wings have a deep history. Our roads pave the way for every future highway of tomorrow. An international hub full of vitality, of Michigan strength, from the global reach of techno and Motown to the powerful rev of our engines. From style trends to technology, Detroit is the starting line of the world's imagination. We are always shaping, moving, cultivating what's next. We are small business savvy and billion-dollar business bold. A state full of 230-foot pine trees and the summer destination of the monarch butterfly. Surrounded by the beauty of Great Lakes. Detroit is always growing, always in flight. We don't wait for someone else to do it. We don't have time to stand still. Not everyone will understand our pace, but the baton was placed in our hands, so we're finishing strong. If this is home, you own the pearl. If you move here, you move the world. Who else to design the mobility of tomorrow besides the most resilient people on the planet? From custom-made bikes and shiny rims, autonomous vehicles and alternative energy. Mobility as a right in diverse cultural communities. Our land, the foundation of collective still Michigan hands, holding up families, designing possibility, creating space. We are the solutionaries, forging our way toward the answers, a sacred historical place, fearlessly stepping up to the plate. We are infinite possibility, and our future can't wait. Detroiters have always kept this country moving. Our DNA connected to a passionate work ethic, and authenticity we earned from grandfathers and free-thinking mothers we watch with hard hat and toolbox swagger sculpt art into dinner for our families. Born on an assembly line of artists, thinkers, educators, scientists, coaches, and philanthropists, we are Southern class and clean Cadillacs, humility and matter of fact. We are a century-old farmers market, the heart and soul of this country's future, the steady sound of design and innovation, and a whole other country is just a bridge away. Dream Chasers built Detroit. This is the world city. Design here, design the world. Build here, you'll build the world. Create here, create the world. Move here, move the world.
Call me biased, but I love my city. I've had an opportunity to go to other places in the world, but I love Detroit. And so I wanted, when I saw this video, I'm like, oh, that is great for this, this event. But when I saw Hodge, he was on a show for CNN, Black in America 4, with Soledad O'Brien. And I said, I got to meet this guy, or I'd like to meet this guy, because I liked what they were doing. And I like what he's doing now in terms of getting you to rethink about this city. But that video doesn't have to make me rethink about it. I love Detroit. So without further ado, Hodge.
Testing, testing. How's everybody doing? That was weak. I said, how's everybody doing today? We good? Good, good. I'm excited to be here. How many people are excited to be here? Okay. All right, so I know I have to be interesting because I'm right after lunch or right after the snack. So I got to be interesting. But I want to give a quick shout out. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank CCS for this opportunity. I also want to thank Karen Dumas, the story that she told. I walked up to her and we were able to build a friendship. She had absolutely no idea who I was. I see a couple other people in the room. Is there a Mr. McAllister in the room? Can you raise his hand? Are there any students that came with Mr. McAllister? Okay, he's over there. Where's he at? Okay, all right. So I remember he could actually hoop back in the day. Yeah, he actually could. So I remember him when I was a kid. He's a great guy. So again, just want to give him some quick love. Today I have about 15 minutes to talk to you today, and I really want to get you to think about your story and get you to think about what you are going to do to change this world. And so I know a lot of this is about us telling some of our story. I'm going to share a few quick things, but really I'm more excited about being able to empower the next generation. And so has anyone ever heard of Kanye West before? Anybody? Just a few people? Okay, so I always like to start with a quick video, so we're going to show a quick video, and I want to just get your thoughts after we show this video.
Kanye West, genius or crazy?
He's crazy, but at the same time, he's just like a genius.
I'm gonna be the #1 artist in the world. No matter, what genre it is, I'm going to be the #1 artist, not rap artist, not urban artist, the #1 artist.
People would look and say, Kanye's crazy. Sometimes I'm just like, I feel like I'm the only one that's not crazy here. I'm the only one not limited. I'm the only one not afraid.
We born artists, we born free, and then we held down by society's perception of us. We just don't want to be embarrassed. I try to make music that touches people because I feel like I am the people, I'm a part of them. I feel like I'm the only one that's exactly like how the people really are at home, that's on the other side of the TV. We the real rock stars, and I'm the biggest of all of them. I'm the #1 rock star on the planet. How miserable is your life that you have to focus on negative things, that you just can't enjoy things? Sometimes you have to sit back and be like, I like that song. That was good.
I'm on a pursuit of awesomeness. Excellence is the bare minimum.
Nothing in life is promised except death. You have the opportunity to play this game of life. You need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.
One thing about Kanye West loves himself more than anybody else loves him. He loves himself more than Kim loves him, right? But Kanye believes in himself. Kanye has a belief in himself. And so what I want to talk to you about today is I want to talk to you about believing in who you are. Sometimes we believe that other people's ice is colder than our ice, right? And so I really want to get you to think, and I want to really pose this question: who eats first? See, as an entrepreneur, I think differently than somebody who just wants to go work for somebody else. And so even if you do work for somebody else, at the end of the day, somebody's going to eat first. And when you think about being an entrepreneur is different because every single day I have to kill my prey. People don't just pay me because I'm cool. I am cool, but I don't just get paid for that. And if you're a pure entrepreneur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That means that there's ebbs and flows in the things that you do. And the world that you live in today, you have an opportunity to be able to create your opportunity. So if you are working for someone else, you're considered an entrepreneur. But companies are cutting people every single day. And so what I want you to think about is either you're at the table or you're on the menu. And so thinking like that gets you to think differently because you don't have an entitlement attitude. And what happens in many cases is that we become studentized to where we go through this process of getting an education and thinking that there's going to be some great job at the end of us getting a degree. There's a lot of competition. Your competition is not sitting next to you, but they're in a totally different country. And they were created and designed and wired to think about eating your lunch every single day. And so when I talk to you today, I want to talk to you because, again, I want you to be at the table. I don't just want you to be on the menu. So when we look at this, does anybody know what this is? A shoe. Okay, Jordan, which one? Okay, all right. Do you know how big the sneaker industry is? It's a $48 billion industry. How many of us are at the table? Not a lot of us are at the table, but we're setting all of the trends and making somebody else rich. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting experience. All right, so does anybody know what this is? All right, so this one just dropped. What day did this one drop? Y'all don't know? Okay, all right, okay, March 30th. Okay, so now, so the secondary market, the secondary sneaker market, how big do you think that industry is? Okay, it's $1 billion. So that means that when people are selling J's online, literally that's $1 billion industry. So the thing that I want to get you to think about is I want to get you to think about transactions and people. A good friend of mine, Vincent Hunt, talks about transactions and people. And so when I tell you my story, I want to get you to think about every single thing that you're doing in class because it all goes back to transactions and people. It goes back to business models and getting things and making sure that you understand how things work. So my entrepreneurial career began in middle school. I had a gum cartel in school. So back in the day, I would sell gum, and I sold gum for 25 cents a pack. I bought it for 25 cents a pack, and I sold it for 50 cents. What does that mean? That means I got Keystone. That means that I doubled my money every single time I sold a pack of gum. And so I want to get you to think about everything that you do. Understanding the business model behind the idea is critically important. And so everything that I do as an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking about how do I turn this into a transaction? How do I take this and grow this into something that's next? So when I was in college, I had a chance to design shoes. That was me a long time ago, and I probably weighed a lot less than I weigh right now, right? But I worked in New Balance, and I had a chance to design shoes because I love sneakers. And I had a chance to design a shoe that actually made it to the industry. And so that was part of me growing and developing as a person. And we go on to that. How many people have ever worked on an idea and people didn't give you any money for the idea, but they loved the idea, right? So that's just a part of what you have to do in life sometimes. So we had this idea. It was called Detroit Week, and I said we're going to do Detroit's largest selfie. I went to all of these organizations in the city. They were like, "Hi, that is an awesome idea. We love the idea. Why don't you go work on the idea and just let us know how it goes?" Right? So we took $250. And turned it into 8.8 million people. So what we did is that if you look at that sign in the back, I bought that sign for about $170. We put together a website for $60 to create Detroit Week, but also created Detroit's largest selfie. I created a Facebook event, posted it online, and all of a sudden, every local news station was like, "We have Detroit's largest selfie coming to Detroit." My team was like, "Hodge, what are we going to do?" Because we had 32 people signed up on the Facebook event. So my team was looking at me. I said, "I got this. This is what we're going to do." So that week, it was like in February, the only day it didn't snow that week was the day we had Detroit's largest selfie, right? So we end up bringing people from all over, people from the suburbs, from the city, people who were unemployed, all kind of people. The DIA came up to me and said, Hodge, we've been trying to get all of these different media outlets to come and to cover our exhibits, and we couldn't get them to come out, but they came out to Detroit's largest selfie. We ended up getting covered by Good Morning America. And we were on 88 different stations, viewed by over 8.8 million people. But the point is that we took a no and turned it into a yes. I believe that wrapped inside of every single no is a yes, right? And so we said, we're not going to wait for permission. As a student, you cannot wait for permission. You have to do what's in your heart, and you learn. But lots of times we wait for everything to be perfect, for all the conditions to be the way we want them to be before we do what's in our heart. And so we took this and took $250 and turned it into an opportunity. So then I take all the analytics, all the data, and then I take that to other sponsors, and that's how we take things to the next level. Turns out I end up getting opportunities, so Nike calls me. And so has anyone ever been down to the Nike community store downtown? Right? Okay, so they called me and they wanted me to help pull together fitness models to be able to do, I guess, like the shoots. So if you walk downstairs, all the shoots, we sourced all of those models. When they contacted me, I had to reach out and find people to be able to work or be a part of this. There were people that I wanted to use, but I couldn't use because when I went to their Instagram profile, I saw the N-word. I saw cussing. And so I couldn't connect my brand to this person, and I couldn't create an opportunity for somebody that I truly wanted to create an opportunity for because they weren't ready, right? You don't have time to get ready. You have to always stay ready, right? I mean, because when opportunity comes, you got to be ready in that particular moment. And so we leveraged that and turned that into other stuff. And so I was part of CNN's Black in America 4 that they mentioned first. Earlier. But how did this happen? They were looking for local stories. I was one of 8 people. And if you notice, they put the smartest people right next to Soledad O'Brien. So that's the reason why I'm right next to her. It has nothing to do with me having on glasses and them bouncing out the picture. But the point is that this came because I was doing what I was doing in the city. And so today what I want to challenge you is what's really in your heart? What were you designed and wired to do? I believe that every single person within the sound of my voice, that you were called and created to do something great. You weren't called to be second. You were called to dominate. How many people in here believe that they're called to dominate their space? Okay, so we have a few people. There's a couple other people. You're the one that just live life by default. Because what happens is that if you don't have a vision for yourself, somebody else will give you theirs. I guarantee you they will, right? And so again, it's about getting you to think outside the box. So I took a project called Rebrand Detroit, took $150,000 now that I got from the Knight Foundation, and I then turned that into $1 million, right? So we took an investment from a nonprofit that we were then able to turn that into $1 million. What I'm telling you today is that every single thing that you do, you have to be able to transfer or translate that into opportunity. You're going to spend a lot of money on a degree, and it's going to be a great degree. But how many people are going to be able to live the life that they were created to live, right? How many people are going to do the work that they love doing? I love the work I do. I wear jogging pants. I have a laptop. I can work from literally anywhere. But it's because I'm doing what I love to do. But it's not just enough to be passionate about something, because I remember my mother, she had to work a job because she wanted to provide. I came from a single parent household. Didn't meet my father till I was 20 years old, right? So my mother took a job or took work to be able to make sure she could provide for me and my sister so that we could do what we love to do. And so today, the mindset, your generation is changing work. Right? It's like y'all decide that you're not going to just go take a job just because it pays something. You want to work for a company that has a soul, right? Where you can travel and you can work on your own conditions, right? Am I talking to millennials or what? Like this generation, you have a chance to do something that we never had a chance to do because of how work gets done, where work is done, and how things happen. So again, I want to challenge you. These are some of the great brands that I've had a chance to work with. Right? But I want to recondition how you see creativity. How many people here have graduated from kindergarten before? Kindergarten. Any kindergarten graduates? Okay, so we have some bright people in the room, right? So when you think about school, typically we were taught to be creative and we all had crayons in our hands. But what happened is that adults then squeezed the creativity out of us and told us this is what we should do. I am a mechanical engineer by trade. I have an MBA. But I knew that I did not want to do that the rest of my life. And so I challenge my daughter and I challenge young people like you to think about how do you create the future? How do you create what's next? I believe that timing is important. Has anyone ever heard of this gentleman before? Steph Curry, right? Okay, so Steph Curry just signed a $201 million contract last summer. About 10 years ago, the owner of the Golden State Warriors bought the team for $450 million. The team is worth north of $2.8 billion today because of this young man right here. The NBA in the 1979-1980 NBA season introduced the three-point line. What if Steph Curry was born at a different time? He wouldn't have the impact that he's having on popular culture or on the NBA. You were born for the season that you're in right now. I'm going to say that again. I said, you were born for the time that you're in right now. The way that you look, the grade of your hair, the things that you do, the skill set that you have, all of that is important in terms of you being able to have the impact in the place that you're in. But again, sometimes we think that other people are smarter than we are. And trust me, it's not true. Just because somebody's father can make a call doesn't mean that they're smarter than you, right? And so I challenge you to challenge status quo to be able to do what's never been done before. Has anyone ever, so anyone know what this is? I can't hear you. Okay. Nobody knows. We have all these graduates from kindergarten. Nobody knows what this is. It's a building, yes. Okay, all right. I knew we had bright folks in the room. It is a building. All right, okay. Give yourselves a quick hand real quick on that one. Okay, so we have a building. All right, this right here is the 1111 Lincoln Road parking garage. It cost $65 million. It was designed by Swiss architects, and it is and it was recently sold for about $280 billion. What do you think? No, $280 million. What do you think they do in this building or structure? Park cars. That's what we must be at CCS, right? They park cars, right? But what are some of the other things that they do in this building? They do yoga in the building. What are some of the other things that they do in the building? They have weddings in the building. So when I talk to you about creativity today, I want you to think outside the box. So if you were designing a parking structure, would you just be designing something that you could park cars in? Or would you design something that had greater utility or greater functionality? So in the jobs that you get or the assignments or the things that you're doing, are you just doing what's always been done? Because if you are, I can easily replace you. People talk about McDonald's and saying $15 an hour. And what's going to happen is that they're going to pay $15 an hour, but then they're going to replace or remove half the workforce. And they're going to have kiosks and have about 3 people working and have machines doing stuff. When I go park in Birmingham in the parking lot, what happened, the people who used to man the machines are no longer there. It's just machines. And so what I'm talking to you about today is how do you become irreplaceable? How do you become the kind of person that an organization cannot live without, a city can't move without? So when a city had to do a video, who do they call? Who do they call? Right here. Right here, a voice of Detroit, right? And so let's give her a hand real quick. Come on. Like that's big. Because lots of times we contact people from New York and all over the country, and we forget about the assets that are right in our own community, right? And so, again, it's awesome to be able to see that kind of work happen. So when we start talking about branding, how many water snobs do I have in the room today? I'm talking about you're just a water snob. What are some of the brands that we drink? What? Smart water? Okay. Evian, Fiji. I grew up on tap water, folks. Like when I was a kid, tap water was cool. How many people here grew up on tap water? Just clap it up real quick. Like we were good. We had lead paint at the house. Everything worked out okay. Okay? But I have friends that now there's certain water. But if you think about water, think about the branding of water, right? And how you can take a product that is a basic product, and you take that product, and now people are paying, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars for small quantities of water. And you have companies like Nestle that are allowed to take 130 extra million gallons of water out of the Michigan water table for $200 extra. Now, if Nestle is a sponsor, I'm not trying to beat anybody up, but But I'm just saying. So if I was to get into what is the definition of a brand, it really comes down to this collection of experiences, expectations, and stories. But ultimately, what it does is that it drives the economics. So that means that how you treat people is part of your brand. So when you mistreat the admin or the assistant when you come in the office, that's all a part of the interview process. And they realize that you value certain classes of people over other classes because of what somebody makes. And so now I don't know if I want you on my team because you're not a good fit. Right? And so all of this is about getting you to think about how you tell your story, so how you can get the opportunities that you were created to get. This is what the future of work looks like. The future of work is not linear. It's not straight. It doesn't just 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It's hard. But everything is hard. Working for somebody else is hard. Being your own boss is hard. Being a student is hard. So you have to choose the hard work. So I choose what I want to do is hard, but I love what I do, and I have a chance to be able to meet amazing people. So you have to be willing to tell your story. Every single person is a storyteller. You don't have to be charismatic to be a storyteller. You can be an introvert to be a storyteller. I had a chance to meet Susan Cain at the TED conference in 2012 in Long Beach, California. She wrote this book, and it's called The Power of the Introvert. And what I loved about it is that it changed my total perspective on how I viewed leadership. Because I used to view people who were leaders as someone who could just command the room. You can be a quiet person and still be a giant and be a leader. And I want you to know that, right? Because it's important. There's a great experiment that came out. It was called Significant Objects. They took 100 ordinary, worthless objects that were worth about $1.25 and sold them for over $8,000 because they changed the narrative. So I want to give you an example. So they took a Kanga mouse. This is a Kanga mouse. They found a Kanga mouse on the beach, folks. All right. I'm not sure. How much would you pay for this Kanga mouse? This one-eared Kanga mouse right here. She would pay 1 cent for it. Anybody else want to pay a little bit more for the Kanga mouse? Okay, $1. Okay, $1. Okay, we're not even gonna get $1.25 for the Kanga mouse. All right, so they took a picture of the Kanga mouse, wrote a narrative, and this is what happened to the value. The value of the Kanga mouse went up 12,900%. Somebody paid $162.50 for the one-eared Kanga mouse. Why? Why did they pay that amount for it? Because of the story that was connected to it. But many of us undervalue and undertell our own story. Everybody doesn't get paid the same amount just because they're good people, right? And so I say that because it's important for you to understand that you have to tell your story. You have to believe in your story, and you have to absolutely tell your story, right? Every single one of you is a media company. It's me looking cool. It's like 90 degrees outside with a scarf, but I'm still trying to look cool. But at the end of the day, I want you to know you're a media company. I know I got to bring this home real quick so we can answer a few questions, but I want to challenge you. Every single one of you, I want you to think about yourself as an athlete, right? So an athlete can get paid based on athletic ability and individual and invisible capital. But I want you to know that you are the new modern athlete. Nike said that anybody with a body is an athlete. How many people in here have a body? All right, that's you. That means that you are an athlete, folks. You probably didn't realize that you want to come to the AdX event today and find out you are an athlete, right? Right, but an athlete is somebody who has intellectual capital. If Kim Kardashian has intellectual capital, everybody has intellectual capital, right? Like if you think about Kylie Jenner, now, yeah, Kylie Jenner, she has a cosmetic company. Kylie, all right, get me right. See, I'm getting old, folks. I'm 46 years old. I need help. Right? Okay. So now, okay, I'm trying, right? So $400 million cosmetic company. She owns 100% of the company. That's a business model. So you might not agree with a lot of the methods, but they own 100% of the business. So I'm getting you to think about that because that's important. Intellectual capital, social capital, your relationships become important, and invisible capital. The thing that I want to drive home today is I want you to stop trying to be perfect before you do stuff. Because of all the pressure of social media, we don't want to post anything or do anything because it has to be totally perfect, right? And so we become paralyzed and not want to go out and not post anything. I didn't realize that you could bully somebody if you didn't tag them in a photo. I mean, people are telling me that you can bully somebody because they're not tagged in a photo. Or maybe you don't tag somebody because they have more followers than you. And some of their followers might start following somebody else. I was like I'm telling you, when we grew up as kids, we had confidence in who we were. It didn't matter if you tagged us, knew who we were. We knew who we were. And so I want you to be confident in who you are. I got 2 minutes to bring this all home before I get booted off the stage, right? At the end of the day, I want you to understand shipping is important. It's one thing to create art, but Seth Godin talks about shipping. At the end of the day, you can make all the beautiful stuff in the world, but design is about business, and design is about shipping stuff. And so I want you to understand that shipping is important. All right? And then I always close with just one picture. It's me and D. Wade. And then I answer like one question, and then it's time for the next. So now I used to play basketball in college. It was a very short window. So the guys in the back didn't realize I had a quick first step, right? So then I see D. Wade, and I'm like, on D. Wade's bucket list, what happens? He wants to talk to he wants to talk to me. So I give him an opportunity. I actually take a picture with him, and you can tell by the smile that's on D. Wade's face. He's excited to take a picture with Hodge, right? You can see by the joy. His wife is not quite as excited. And so what did I do? I talked about being a media company earlier, right? And so as a part of this, I apologized to Dwayne Wade online, and then I actually posted. I said, this is not enough. Let me turn this into an article. It gets picked up by a major media outlet, and it's 6 steps on how to interrupt Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's dinner with style. Right, Dwayne Wade sees it, and you can see what happens. Right, he reshared it, called me a genius, and I did a screenshot because I want y'all to know that's not Photoshop, folks. So one day, me and D. Wade are going to do business together. So I always show that picture without anything to do with anything I'm talking about or not, because I want to reinforce the fact that we have to be a media company. Do I have time for one question or no? Questions or no? Are we all? Okay, all right. Okay, so we have time for a couple questions real quick. A couple questions and my contact information. 2 questions. Make them quick. Questions. I know I saw World Peace and Hunger, but 2 questions.
Okay, I have one next.
All right, back here. So the brilliant people are in the back, right? Asking the questions. Okay.
In the job you do, how much do you travel?
I travel quite a bit. So I do something called Rebrand Cities, and so we're going to be in probably about 20 to 30 cities this year. Liverpool is going to be one of the cities. So if I wanted to, I could literally be in a different city twice a month. I choose to not do that just so I can balance time with my family. So at least like once a month, I'm traveling. At a minimum once a month, twice a month. So I put quite a few miles in, but I have a chance to see amazing cities. So we have Miami coming up next month, and we're doing Los Angeles. We have the city of Liverpool, because we're actually working with the city of Liverpool in the UK, which is like awesome. So I'm doing work that I love to do, and I can basically pick whatever city I want to go to and work with small businesses and help to tell their stories online. So it's an amazing life. I love what I do. But to get here, there were a lot of ebbs and flows. So I want to be honest. There were times where me and my wife had to have some come to Jesus meetings because things weren't where they are now, right? But I have a chance to travel quite a bit. Next question.
I see one over here.
Okay. In the back.
My name's Najia, and I wanted to know, how did you choose your job?
How did I choose my job? I believe that my job chose me, right? But part of how I got into the work that I'm doing today is I figured it out by trial and error. Lots of times we think that people just wake up one day and they just know what they're going to do, and it wasn't that way. I ended up working. I was a mechanical engineer, and I used to work and I used to help engineer and solve problems for car parts. What I realized is that I hated that. And I wanted to help people to re-engineer their lives. So having a chance to work for a major company and be responsible for 20% of their aftermarket parts made me realize I wanted to work with people. And so doing that, what I did is that at my job, I had a side hustle. I believe every single person should have a side hustle, because the great job that you have today, at some point, it might end, right? And so that way, I had a chance to be able to get into what I do. And so I call it a grustle. So I had a grind, and then I had a hustle. And what happened is that over time, I got to a point to where my hustle was making more than my grind, and it made it real easy because my job ended. I didn't just leave it just ended. But then I was able to transition into something where I was making more doing that. But I believe loving what you do is important, but I did it and I found it over time. And so you have a chance to be able to do some amazing things because you have tools and you have the ability to connect with anybody on the planet. So I hope that answers that question. I think that's my last question, right? All right, so I hope that y'all found something valuable out of my talk.
All right, our last speaker for the day is Robin Terry. Robin Terry is the grandniece of Berry Gordy Jr. And Berry Gordy Jr. founded one of the most iconic brands in Detroit, next to Ford and many others. It's a good, perfect tie-in for what Hodge was saying. So without further ado, Robin Terry.
All right, guys, I know that time is ticking, and we're going to do this in about 10 minutes. I just want to say hello to you, to welcome you. I am so humbled, Creed, that you would invite me to be a part of the panel you had today. I hope that the story I'm going to tell you will inspire you. I hope it will connect the dots for everything that you have heard today, not only from Hodge, from Karen, from Ken, but connect all those dots so that you understand the true greatness that you have in you and the opportunity that you have. How many of you would consider yourselves creative? All right, then I'm talking to the right people. So I believe that creative people, not only everything that you've seen here, you see the power that you have to interpret our culture, to drive our culture, and to shape culture. That's the power you have because you're a creative being. So the story I'm going to tell you is a story that's right here in your backyard about a creative person who did exactly what I'm telling you you have the power to do. And that person happens to be my uncle, who is Berry Gordy. How many of you know who he is? Awesome. How many of you know what Motown is? All right, you're in Detroit. That's awesome. Okay, so here's the quick story of my uncle. And I'm going to start with this. My dad has a quote, and my dad says, if you don't know the strength you come from, you won't believe the strength you have. And so I'm telling you this story because I want you to know the strength you come from, right here in the city, in your neighborhood, right up the street. That's what this story is about. So Berry Gordy, young gentleman, he was in his early 20s, his talent was being a songwriter. So many of you have been asked today about your creative ability. What is it that you're good at? And once you tap into that, how do you fight for that thing that you're good at? So for my uncle, his thing was songwriting. He could write. And so he convinced our family to give him a loan of $800 to start his own little record company. Now, contrary to what most people tell you, my uncle didn't finish school. He didn't go to college. But he had this passion for songwriting. And so he started writing songs, convinced the family, give him this money for this little house, and then he started attracting other people who were creative like he was, just like you. He found other songwriters, musicians, people who were good at playing instruments. He found people who were good engineers, sound recording engineers. All these different folks start gravitating to this little house on West Grand Boulevard. Have you seen it? Little blue and white house? Okay, so they start coming to that little house because they all shared a love for creating music. So after a while, they're creating this music. Now they need singers. Where do you think they got them from? Within a 5-mile radius of where we're sitting right now. So that Northwestern High School, yes, churches, so they came out of the schools, but the average age of the people that came was 23. So you had people like yourself, young people like yourselves, a Stevie Wonder, guess how old he was? 9. Right? Michael Jackson, do we know who he is? He was just a baby. The Supremes, we know who they are. They were seniors in high school. How many of you are seniors in high school? Right? So they are your age, but they gravitated to other creative people who had a common goal, just like them, to make music. And something really powerful happened when you put all these creative people together in that itty-bitty house up the street from where we're standing. History was made. Not only did they interpret culture, which is what we talked about, with the music that they made, but they also started to drive culture because it became this force. Like, first of all, well, we'll talk about how it became a phenomenon, but it became this music everybody was listening to. So suddenly, this little company in Detroit, everybody wanted to hear that music. And then they started shaping culture because all of a sudden, people who didn't look alike were singing and dancing together, black people and white people, because of this music. All that came out of this little bitty house in Detroit because of one man. And then this collective family of creative people. So I just want to remind you, Motown then became what was a global phenomenon. It produced more #1 records than any record company on the planet. It had more iconic artists than any record label on the planet. It was the little black company that everybody undervalued, underestimated, and they sort of rose up to be the beast, right? So don't worry if people underestimate you. Nothing wrong with that. You just show up and you show out, right? That's the example that Motown gave you. But then it became also, you know, this cultural thing that people couldn't figure out. Like, how is it that it brings people from all over the world who don't even speak the same language, don't look alike, but this music brings them together? So there was power in this, and it had the ability to shape culture. And today, it's made history. So it is now an important part of the story we tell about not only music history, but just our American history, and how that was accomplished by one person who was super passionate about that talent they had, that vision that they had. They knew how to surround themselves with other people who were like-minded, and they created something that was extremely powerful, and something that today, 60 years later, still has relevance, is still sampled. I have 2 volunteers somewhere, and I just want them to come right over here really quickly. So the lesson I want you to get from it is to find your place in that creative space. You've heard a lot of people talk today about, you're trying to think, like, what are they doing? I want to test my theory, right? That 60 years later, there's still relevance. And this is how creative people, what do? They interpret culture, they drive culture, they shape culture, and they can make history. Okay, so just introduce yourself.
I'm Olivia Urban from Benjamin Carson High School.
I'm Simone Leith from DSA.
I'm Renee from DSA.
Okay, so you guys come up here. This is a test. You weren't getting out of here without one test. All right, these lovely 3 ladies are going to sing 3 parts, just the top part of a song, and I want to see if you can finish it. All right? And this is how we're going to close out this day. All right? Here we go. They volunteered. You got to give them a lot of love, a lot of love. All right, you right, ladies? You ready? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Sing with them if you know it. That was good. That was awesome. All right, I'm giving you one last test. This is one last test. All right, here we go, ladies. And yeah, sing nice and loud. 1, 2, 3, go.
I got sunshine on a cloudy day. With cold outside, I got the month of May.
Give it up for yourselves and our volunteers. That's awesome. So that's 60 years later. So that is not only finding your passion, mastering your passion, building your brand, dominating your space, and being relevant over 60 years later. So that's what I'm hoping that you leave here inspired by everything that you've heard. If you haven't gone to Motown Museum, Teachers, please see me. We will figure that out and make arrangements because you need to see it. That's inspiration in your backyard. So I hope that this was helpful to you, and God bless you, and I encourage you as you find your passion.